President-elect Donald Trump's cabinet is quickly taking shape. Florida Senator Marco Rubio has been tapped to possibly be the next Secretary of State. Rubio has taken hardline positions on several foreign policy positions, including relations with countries like China and Iran. South Dakota Governor Kristi Noem is Trump's pick for Homeland Security Secretary. She'll work alongside some Trump insiders like Stephen Miller and Tom Homan. Lawmakers have also returned to the halls of Capitol Hill today for a lame duck session. They'll be focusing on addressing some key legislative priorities ahead of a newly seated Congress next year, and that all includes electing a new Senate Majority Leader. So we'll start tonight with Major Garrett and Weijia Jiang. Thank you both for being with us. I know you have covered this past administration, the administration before, and Trump 2.0. So it's great to have you both with us. Weijia, I want to start with you because you are in West Palm Beach following all of the happenings at headquarters there. What is the idea behind picking someone like Marco Rubio? And we should note, Trump himself has not officially announced that he is his choice, but we have sources confirming.
Well, that's a really important distinction, Caitlin, because you never know with President-elect Trump. But to your point, our sources confirm that he is expected to be selected to be the Secretary of State, which is really relevant, especially given their colorful history, if you will. You'll remember back in 2016, they really butted heads during the 2016 Republican primary, during which Trump gave Rubio the nickname of Little Rubio. But since then, he has really embraced the MAGA movement, and he was one of Trump's fiercest fighters on the campaign trail during this cycle. And I think what's important here is a nod to his incoming Chief of Staff, Susie Wiles, who is a Florida native, who was really pushing for Rubio to be the vice presidential nominee. And I think this is sort of a consolation prize for Wiles. And it shows that Trump is listening to her advice on this front, at least. Not to mention Rubio's expansive experience on the foreign policy stage. And to your point also, it's interesting that Trump's pick for National Security Advisor, Congressman Mike Waltz, is also extremely aggressive on China. So we could see even more of a shift to that part of the country, to the world, because both of these lawmakers have expressed how important it is to prepare for a potential conflict with Beijing.
Yeah, Major, to Weij's point, I want to play a little bit of Marco Rubio in 2016 versus now, just to remind our audience.
If he builds the wall the way he built Trump Towers, he'll be using illegal immigrant labor to do it. The second...
So cute. Such a cute soundbite.
Together with Donald Trump, we are going to make America not just great, but greater than it has ever been before.
All right, so how things have changed. But
Sure.
We know from reporting on Trump that he does prize this kind of people that convert back to his cause.
He loves the converted.
Exactly. So tell us a little bit more about what you're making of this pick and also what you're hearing behind the scenes of how Trump is thinking about this transition.
So this is a very odd situation for Senator Rubio, ranking Republican on Foreign Relations Committee, a sizable, influential senator in the Republican conference. And we're now almost 24 hours into this offer being made and accepted without an official declaration from Trump, either on a social media platform or from the transition team. There's no doubt that he's, in my mind, based on my reporting, that Rubio is going to be the person. But this void, this suspended animation he's in is creating, like, what's going on? What I'm told is it's two things. One, the transition team wants to sort of announce things in a methodical way. Trump does not want to be methodical. He just wants to make offers and do things. Yet, and there's also kind of a MAGA pushback against Rubio. Rick Grinnell and others who had previous positions in the first Trump administration, and some hard MAGA types don't think Rubio's loyal enough or America first enough. I'm told those things will be resolved, but it is a prism into difficulties even now when they're trying to move quickly and Trump is trying to set a quick pace. One other quick observation. There will be cabinet secretaries, but keep your eye on czars. Tom Homan is exactly what I mean by that. He's going to have more influence over border security and deportation policy than the Homeland Security Secretary ever will, or even Stephen Miller will as Deputy Chief of Staff inside the White House. If there's another czar, let's say in the healthcare space, like Robert F. Kennedy Jr., the same thing will apply. Direct reports to the president, do not require Senate confirmation, and invested with tremendous power because Trump wants it that way.
And Weijia, to Major's point, you mentioned Tom Homan. I mean, Kristi Noem is the pick to be DHS secretary. Tell us a little bit more about what went on behind the scenes in terms of that pick. I mean, I think people will remember her from her unfortunate recounting of the way she handled a pet of hers. But what does she kind of mean to Trump's orbit?
Well, we've been talking about this all week, Caitlin, and she is just the latest example of how Trump rewards loyalty. In this cycle, she was among the first Republican governors to publicly endorse Trump. She has been by his side and, fiercely defended him at every opportunity that she could, even rising to the shorter list of potential VP picks for Trump. But that collided with the release of her memoir, as you talked about, in which she recounted shooting her dog because she said it was untrainable. But she also, thought that might play in her favor because she wanted to show how tough she was, that she could handle a big job. And this certainly is a big job. But to Major's point, and he has been reporting about this extensively, she was named after Homan and after Miller. So really, she will, even though she'll have the title of a cabinet secretary, those two are the bigger players when it comes to actually drawing up the blueprint for the mass deportations. And in some ways, she'll have to answer to them.
Yeah, it's a fascinating dynamic, too. And we know, Major, obviously, the former president, now president-elect, does prize, the ability to go on television, sell the case.
Right.
I did notice Noem and several other women were by his side on the campaign trail and town hall type settings to kind of put that face forward. But
Noem also has a couple of other things that went for her in this regard. She was among the first Republican governors to send National Guard troops to Texas to assist Governor Greg Abbott. She also was the first governor to call for a ban on TikTok. Trump, apparently, according to the Washington Post, is now reconsidering his position on TikTok, but she was ahead on that. Those kind of things caught Trump's attention on a policy side, but the political loyalty, stalwart defense of Trump all the way through, all those things played into this.
And just quickly, because you covered the transition in 2016, you're covering this transition now, how is he approaching it differently, obviously with the hindsight of having been president?
2016, he was like, what are my powers and how should I exercise them? He knows the answers to both those questions now. And he knows what a loyalty test is. Did you raise a lot of money? Did you defend me when I was in the sort of dark days, 2021, 2022? Were you with me then? Those are key factors. He's not the least bit hesitant or uncertain about what his powers are or how he wants to exercise them. Fundamentally different than 2016.
All right, we will keep an eye on those future picks and confirming from the former president himself who will be in his cabinet. Major and Weijia, thank you so much. We'll be talking to you a lot over these next few weeks.